Do you feel like something might be different this time, that we might be on the precipice of a breakthrough, or are we still humoring Vladimir Putin when it comes to Ukraine?
Well, I hope, I agree with the president that whatever happens, we need to solve this war soon and hopefully get some peace in Ukraine. I think we really, there's been so much bloodshed and there's just so much trouble happening with the Ukrainian people. They deserve peace, and they deserve our support, and I'm willing to give it to them.
Well, I'd love your greater takeaways on Davos. This has been one heck of a 48-hour news cycle, Mr. Chairman. My goodness, yesterday we were wondering in the morning if we were going to be about to invade Greenland. We've moved on, apparently, to quite a number of other things. We keep hearing these references to a new world order. How would you describe it?
Well, look, back to Greenland, you said there's some good news coming out of Davos. President said no troops on the ground there. He's working with NATO to come up with a solution. And I honestly think, I understand where the president was coming from here, talking about the importance of Greenland. China and Russia have been showing a lot of aggressiveness in the Arctic. And I understand, as Homeland Security Chair, the need to protect the homeland. And Greenland is in a very peculiar place, and making sure that China and Russia don't have the free run of the Arctic is very important. So I understand where the president was coming from about mentioning Greenland's strategic positioning, and I'm happy that we are going to work with other members of NATO and Europe to make sure that Greenland is protected, as well as the European continent and the American continent.
Does this make NATO stronger? Does it weaken NATO? We were told at the outset of this Davos World Economic Forum that the future of NATO was at stake. That was the Danish Prime Minister. How do you see it?
NATO is extremely popular and important and has a lot of support here in the U.S. On both sides of the aisle, Republican and Democrat. I don't think this was going to be the end of NATO. That would have been playing right into our adversaries' hands. Everybody who's in NATO is stronger because we are a part of NATO. And I actually hope we can grow NATO and bring other countries in, because bigger alliance, the stronger we are, and shows that we're all on the same page. Yeah. And we can do whatever we need to do, whatever we can to show that to our adversaries that they can't take advantage of us and pit us against each other.
Well, it's really interesting to hear you say that. Before we move along, and I'd love to ask you about some domestic issues. Should Ukraine be one of those members, or is that a bridge too far?
Listen, I think the reason Russia invaded Ukraine is because Ukraine was not a member of NATO, and if that's something that the other NATO countries are willing to consider, it's something that I think we should all consider. But again, to gain entry into NATO, you have to have the support of other NATO countries. So that's something that is up to the NATO states to decide.
Well, I want to get right to the center of your attention here as chairman of the Homeland Security Committee, because I'm guessing you know more than most about what's about to happen with the funding bills specific to the agency, the Department of Homeland Security, because there's been a bit of an argument between Democrats and Republicans about adding language to put some controls or directives around the way that ICE conducts immigration enforcement. Body cameras have been floated, some other ideas like training when it comes to de-escalation. This seemed to be coming to a boil last week. Maybe it's more of a simmer right now. This is the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, talking about this just recently. Mr. Chairman, listen to the Speaker and we'll have you respond.
Hey, Democrats, if you have a problem with ICE, which many of them do, of course, irrationally, you should not take down the appropriations bill, because there's all these other areas of Homeland Security that are essential. Bill, you spent a lot of time down on the border. You saw the abuses of the last 4 years. We've got to correct all that, and you have to fund the Department of Homeland Security to keep us safe. This is not a game. We can't do a CR on Homeland Security. Think of what will happen.
So I guess my question is, will this end up in a continuing resolution, or will there be a deal on Homeland Security funding?
Well, we'll know that answer in about an hour when the bill hits the floor. I think there will be. I think there was a four-way agreement amongst the appropriators and the leadership, both Republican and Democrat, that helped draft this Homeland Security Appropriations Bill. I think it will pass with bipartisan support. It might not have overwhelmingly bipartisan support, but it still will have bipartisan support. And I agree with the Speaker. Doing a continuing resolution on the Homeland Security bill alone just gives more power. It takes it away from Congress and gives it more to the administration. And I think we don't want to shut down the Department of Homeland Security by not passing anything, because then you're shutting down the Cybersecurity Information Security Agency. You're shutting down. We're not going to be able to pay our transportation security officers at the airports. I mean, there's a lot of FEMA is another agency that would be affected. There are a lot of agencies that fall under the Department of Homeland Security that don't deal with ICE that would be affected by a shutdown for the department. So I'm hoping the bill passes. It is a negotiated, four-way agreed upon bipartisan bill, and I hope it passes in about an hour.
You're not expecting a shutdown, though, right? I mean, your worst-case scenario is a CR for Homeland.
Listen, worst-case scenario was probably a shutdown for Homeland, but I don't anticipate that happening. I really do hope that everything does passes today, and it all gets passed in the Senate next week, and the president can sign it before the 30th. But again, if a CR has to happen, it just gives more power to the administration to move money around, which is not what Congress wants to pass appropriations bills. This is what we want to do. This is what we all work very hard to do, and it is very important to get this bill across the finish line, because it's not just about money and funding agencies. There are extensions, there are authorities that are being extended under this bill that are very important to Homeland Security.
Let's go to New York for a couple items, Mr. Chairman. A judge in Manhattan has ruled that Congresswoman Molly Atakis's district on Staten Island is unconstitutional and should be redrawn. I know this is going to an appeal, but are you concerned about this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's amazing that the Democrats sue on maps that they just approved overwhelmingly and was signed into law by a Democratic governor and a supermajority in both the Democratic supermajority in both the Assembly and the Senate. But I imagine there'll be an appeal. The judge directed it to go back to the Independent Redistricting Commission, I believe, to draw maps by the 6th. This is not the normal process. Our Constitution actually prohibits mid-decade redistricting, so I don't know how this is going to last, as well as petitions start soon in New York to get on the ballot. So if this case is ongoing, I mean, I know there's precedent, there's federal case law precedent that would stop any redistricting once petitions are out on the street and the nomination of a candidate is happening. So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how they can delimit it to just one district. Because they developed these census tracts and everything to make sure every congressional district in New York has the same exact population. So this is not something that can be done by the February 6th deadline that the judge put in his order yesterday. So I anticipate an appeal. I don't think there'll be new districts, but I find it laughable that they're suing on maps. The Democrats are suing on maps that they created last year.
Well, we'll find out together where this is going. I appreciate your weighing in on it. Mr. Chairman, lastly, I want to ask you about your 9/11 Responder and Survivor Health Funding Correction Act. Will this see action on the floor if that aforementioned DHS funding bill does not come together the way you want?
Yes, luckily the fix for the 9/11 World Trade Center Health Program is in the other government funding bill that we'll also be taking up today, which has a lot of bipartisan support, and it's a four-way agreement that would not have been possible without the Speaker, without Senator Gillibrand and my other colleagues in New York. It is a win for the survivors of the 9/11 terrorist attacks, and for all those people who were there on the pile the days and weeks after, who have gotten sick. For a decade and a half, we have made advocates, unfortunately, come back down to Congress to beg for money. It is not right. This is care that they deserve. This is care that they've earned, and I'm very proud to have this bill being passed today.